Start the lecture from today. So good morning, all of you. Today we have to be start with second unit. In the last lecture we have covered the first unit. So now the second unit is related to the error control coding. So now we have to be enter from data communication towards the digital communication. Clearly. So today topic is error control coding. First of all, we have to take a outline of this particular unit that we are going to learn. We are going to learn the linear block codes, having codes, having distance, CRC coding, random detection, convolution code, trellis diagram, coding gain, Viterbi algorithm for detection, as well as some error control systems also like FEC, forward error correction, ARQ, stop wait, hybrid ARQ, go and back, and selective repeat error control systems. So these are the some points we are going to cover in the upcoming lectures. Now we start with the topic error control coding. Before going to the actual linear block codes, we have to be take little bit the overview first. Why we have to be required to do this kind of the error control coding. So first of all, we have to see the introduction. So the primary function of the error control coding is primary function of the error control encoder or decoder pair. Basically, it is called the codec, coder decoder, is to enhance the reliability of the message during the transmission of information carrying the symbols through the communication. It is basically used to enhance the reliability of the message during the transmission of information. This is the first reason why we have to use the error control encoder and decoder in the digital system. Then an error control code can also, now we have to resume the lecture. An error control code can also be is the design process of the digital transmission system in the multiple ways. Which of the following ways are there? First of all, if you have to be see, first is the transmission power requirement of the digital transmission scheme can be reduced by the use of the error control codec. Codec is a combination of encoder and decoder. This aspect is exploited in the design of most of the modern wireless digital communication systems, such as the cellular mobile communication system. So there is a very important aspect of the power requirement of digital transmission, and all the communication system need to reduce the power requirement. And this is one of the also you can say the research topic to reduce the power requirement for the communication systems. So when you use the error control codec, it would be little bit useful for decreasing the power or reducing the power requirement. Okay. Now, second was the reason even the size of the transmitting and receiving antenna can be reduced by use of the error control codec, and while maintaining the same level of end-to-end performance. The second benefit of the error control codec is what? It would be useful for reducing the size of transmitting and receiving antenna, as well as maintain the quality of the signal. Quality of signal would be not hampered, and even you are able to reduce the size of the antenna. The size of antenna is also a very big concern in the commercial communication systems. So there is a separate subject actually in the electronics and communication for the antenna, where you have to learn all types of antenna and how its size would be changed, and what factor it would be actually depend. But here just we have to take the introductory part. And for example, if you have to be see VSAT, very small aperture terminal network terminals. VSAT and is also very good technology for that is use the error control coding for reducing the size of antenna. VSAT is basically used for the satellite communications. It is a bi-directional, you can say the satellite communication media where would we use the antennas, these antennas, or you can say the this kind of the things would be used. Third reason, access of more users to the same radio frequency in a multi-access communication system can be ensured by use of the error control technique. So these are the some benefits, and for this example, we have to be see the CDMA, code division multiple access, that we have to be learn in the later on unit number 5 or 6. Okay, so these are the some benefits why we have to use the error control coding or decoding. So because of this, we have to be able to reduce the power requirement. We would be able to reduce the size of antenna. We would be able to use the same radio frequency for the multiple access communication systems. So these are the benefits. That's why we have to be use this technique. Another advantage of this technique is jamming margin in the spread spectrum communication system that can be effectively increased by using the suitable error control technique. And when the jamming margin would be increased, it would be allow the signal transmission to a desired receiver in a battlefield and elsewhere, even if the enemy tries to drown the signal by transmitting high power in band noise. So generally, this is maybe a new term for you, jamming margin. It is used to jam the, obstruct the transmission of any reliable message, whatever the message you want to transmit. For that purpose, your enemy or the whatever you can say, the neighbors would be try to make an obstruction in the path of the transmission by adding high power in band noise. So for that purpose, to overcome this problem, we have to be required to increase the value of jamming margin. Okay. So jamming margin is nothing but the processing gain upon signal to noise ratio, if you have to be seen. So generally it is used in the spread spectrum communication system that you would be learning the last unit, 6th unit. And this spread spectrum communication techniques are basically used in the military applications. These systems would be mostly used in the military application. So where it would be, we have to be required a error control technique, so that we would be effectively transmit our messages. Even our enemy would be tried to obstruct by sending the high power in band noise. We would be faithfully transmit our message from one unit to the another unit of the military. So these are the some key advantages of the error control techniques are there. That's why we have to use this. And in this unit, we would be learn all the error control techniques. We have to be see what are the basic steps of any communication system. The first step is what? Encoding a message at its source. Second is what? Transmitting the message through the communication medium. Transmitting the message through the communication medium. And third, if you have to be see, decoding the message at its destination. These are the basic three aspects for any communication system. Okay, but we have to be elaborate these all steps in detail by using this block diagram. Now sound is okay. Okay. See,
yes, sir.
If you have to be see this information block diagram of digital communication, this is the block diagram of communication system. Everyone draw this. This is very important diagram to learn all this topic related to digital communication. So if you have to see the first block, that is information source, where would be generate the information in terms of either digital or analog. So you have to be information in terms of bits. Actually, we are concerning here the digital. Actually, the digital bits are there, and this information in terms of bits would be fed to the source encoder, and in the source encoder, it would be further converted, encoded, okay, into a stream of the information, and then further encryption is there, and this encrypted message is fed to the channel encoder, where the encoding of again using the channel encoding technique, it would be encoded again, and Then it would be passed through a digital modulation block, that where we have to be apply some digital modulation technique. Further, it would be this is the main area where we have to be send the our transmitted signal, that is called the channel. Okay, this is a very key point. And through the in the channel, all kinds of whatever the impurity or the fading or the noises would be added, and then it would be passed to the in the receiver end. If you have to be say digital modulation, again means demodulation, reverse process is going on, channel decoder, decryption, source decoder, and finally the output message is retrieved, that is very much similar to the input information. Now see one by one what is the role of or what is the function of these blocks. So if you have to be see, first of all we would be highlight source coding or source encoder. So in the source encoder, what happens? The function of the source coding is what? To minimize the number of bits per unit time required to represent the source out. So in this uh, block or in this system, we would be encode the source information so that number of bits would be per unit time would be minimized. And this is process is called the source coding or either the data compression. This is either called the source coding or data compression. Okay. Now, if you have to be see the some example of the source coding like Huffman coding, Lempel-Zip algorithm, these are used as a source coding, and the output of the source encoder is referred to as a information sequence. Input to the source encoder is a bits method 10 in the terms of 10 format, bits information bits, but the output of the encoder is a information sequence. Okay. Now this information sequence would be fed to the encryption block. So what is the function of encryption block is there? If you have to be see, the function of encryption block is to make the source bit transmission secure. It would be provide the security. So how you would be provide the security? This process of converting the source bits or message text into the source string that looks like meaningless random bits of the data, that is also known as the ciphertext, and this process is called as the encryption. Okay, so after source encoding we have to be encrypt the information message or message text that we have to be transmit so that it will be remain secure and it does not understood by the other intermediate communications systems devices are there, or other users would be not able to retrieve the message. Only the receiver that we have dedicated receiver would be able to understand. So some examples of the encryption methods are data encryption standard DES or RSA systems generally used in the commercial encryptions. After encryption of the message, we would be do the pass it to the channel encoder. So in the channel coding, what is the function of this? The function of the channel encoder is to correct the transmission errors introduced by the channel. So we know that we have to be send this message through the channel where the error would be added. So as a preliminary measure, before sending it to the actual channel, we would be do the channel coding so that at the receiver end we would be able to correct this transmission errors. So this the process of introducing some. So how it would be done? Channel coding by introducing some redundant bits to a sequence of information. Sequence of information we would be what we have to do? We would be add some redundant bits in a controlled manner to correct the transmission errors. And this process is known as the channel coding or error control coding. This process is either known as the channel coding or error control coding. And this is the main objective of our this chapter. We have to be going to learn channel coding in this chapter, different methods of the channel coding. Some examples are repetition code, low density parity check codes, and lots of other methods are there we have to learn in upcoming lectures. The encoded sequence, that is output of the channel encoder, is referred to as what? It is referred to as a code word. Okay. So this is the some important aspect of the channel encoders. Now these code words would be fed to what? It would be passed through a digital modulation block. Okay. So in the modulation, what we actually do? Can anyone tell me any method of the digital modulation? If you are know that. So the function of the modulation block is what? To map the code words into the waveform, which are then transmitted over the physical medium, that such as the channel. So we have to be convert these code words into the some waveforms, so that this waveform would be transmitted over the channel. We do not transmit the code word directly to the channel. We have to be convert first into the suitable waveform, and for that purpose we have to be use a different modulation techniques. So can anyone tell me any digital modulation technique that you know? Okay, so the examples are ASK, amplitude shift keying, FSK, frequency shift keying, PSK, phase shift keying, or QAM or QPSK, like this. Various techniques are available for the digital modulation. Now, this is the end of the transmission section. Now we have to be entered into the channel section. In the channel section, what happens? We know that the channel is, it is a physical transmission medium, either a wireless media or maybe a wired media. And we have learned all kinds of wireless and wired media in the first unit. And in this particular section, what happens? Your information or transmitted waveforms would be corrupt due to various effects such as noise, interference, fading of the data, or maybe multi-part transmission. Okay. So there are some examples of the channels are that, like binary eraser channel BEC, binary symmetric channel BSC. Mostly we have to use the binary symmetric channel BSCs are there. Now we have to enter into the receiver section. So now we have to do the reverse process. Whatever the process we have used in the transmission of the message, opposite of that we have to be used in the receiver section. So the first block in after the channel is the demodulation section. In this demodulation, what is the function? To convert the received noisy waveform sequence of bits to a sequence of bits. Okay, which is an estimate of the transmitted data bits. Which is an estimate of the. So what we actually do here, there is a very important term. If you have to be see, and we would be use this term regularly in this particular discussion, and that is called the estimation. So we do not have the actual receiver does not know the actual signal, so it would be what? It will do the estimation of the transmission data. Okay, and this is called as a hard demodulation. But another demodulation is soft demodulation, where the demodulation output are unquantized. If it is unquantized, so it is called the soft demodulation. And condition is given for the unquantized message. If the quantization level is more than the 2 quantization level, means it is unquantized. And soft demodulation have significant improvement over the hard demodulation. Generally, we use the soft demodulation. After demodulation of the noisy waveforms, what we have to be got? We would be got a sequence of information, and this sequence of information is here. We have to be passed through the channel decoding block. We have to be do the decoding of the system. where to estimate the information bits u cap or u bar you can use and correct the transmission error. Okay. So at the transmission end, channel encoder output is a u, suppose for example, and here it is a u cap. So it is an estimation, just we do not know actual message, so we have to just estimate it. And generally u cap is not equal to the u. So means what is, why it is not equal? Because there are some errors are there. Because there is some errors are there. And the performance of this channel encoder decoder is usually measured by the bit error rate or either the frame error rate. There is a two ways to measure this error, is either a bit error rate or frame error rate. Okay, depending upon that sequence of the information, either it is in the terms of frames of information or either in terms of bits of information. So if you have to see the block also, so this is the channel decoder. So you can see here in this channel output of channel encoder, whatever the sequence of information is referred as a U. Okay, and when it would be passed through the output of the channel encoder is there is a V, and then when it is received is a R. It is a noisy signal, you can say, a noisy sequence where some error is added. So U plus error is R actually, and now we have to be receiver would be just estimated U cap, that is not equal to U. Okay, now we have to be see by using the BER or FER method we can measure the amount of error. So BER is defined as expected number of information bit, because we have estimated the message, no? So expected number of information bit decoding errors per decoded information bit. Expected number of information bit decoded errors per decoded information bit is called the BER. And what is the FER? If you have to see that the coded sequence are broken up into the blocks of the data frames, and the frame errors occurs if any information bit in the data frame is in error. And this decoded frame error rate is the percentage of frames in the error. Suppose there is a long sequence of the message is there, maybe 100-bit message, we have to be broke into the 10-bit messages, means we have made a 10-bit frames. And if any frame, 10-bit frame, if any bit is having the error, so whole frame would be considered as an error frame. So in this way we have to be just find out the percentage of frames in there. So this is the method that we have to be retrieve the messages and find out the errors from it, extract the errors from it. Now after this decoder, channel decoder block, the whatever the information sequence is there, whatever the error we have recovered, now this filtered message would be sent to the decryption box or block, where it would be decrypt the message, because when it would be encrypted, a receiver would be or other person would be not able to understood what actually the message is. So we have to be again decrypt it to recover a plain text message from the ciphertext with the help of the key. So generally for decryption we have to be some keys are there, that is called the cipher keys to decrypt the message. It is a key that is the security of the modern cipher lies not in the detail of the ciphers. And after the decryptions, when we have to be get a plain text, and then we have to be pass it to the source decoder, so again it will be reconverted into a text to the digital bits. So we use the source decoder block, and the function of the source decoder is to reconstruct the original source bits from the decoded information sequence. So this is the process actually followed from the transmitter to the receiver section. Okay, till date whatever you have learned that in analog communication also, or either one transmitter that would be transmit or convert the information into the electrical signal, and then it would be passed through a channel. Some errors are added into the channel, and this would be recovered to the receiver section. At the receiving end, we have got the original message. But that, if you have to be go into the detail of digital communication system, this much amount of exercise we have to be doing, starting from the source encoding, encryption, channel encoding, digital modulation, then reverse process. So due to the channel errors, what happens? Final reconstructed signal may be always are distorted. It is very less percentage of chances that we would be get the actual unerrored message. Okay, so there is some error is always present, and for such kind of the error finding, there is some technique that we are basically used for finding of the error. That is one of the method is called the single parity check bit code. This is one of the method. So what is a single parity check bit coder? You have to see. In this simple example, we have to see this is one of the method of the channel coding. We have to learn throughout the channel coding in this chapter. Single parity check bit coder. Each set of k incoming bits is mapped to the k plus one outgoing bit service. So this is the, if you have to be see, this is the block diagram that is showing the single parity bit check coder is there. And you have to be see, suppose there is a k incoming bits are there, here the 3-bit information is there, and when it will be passed to the channel coder, k plus 1 outgoing bits are there, means if there is a 3 bits, now it is the 4 bits are outgoing message. Okay, now we have to be see how this would be detect the error, the single parity check. So if you have to be see the single parity check information, then one additional bit is added to ensure that if you added all the bits together, you would be get a total of 0. So in this method, generally we use the modulo 2 addition methods. So there is some examples are shown here, modulo 2 addition, where we have to use 0 plus 0 0, 1 plus 0 1, 0 plus 1 1, and 1 plus 1 is 0. So just take care of this thing. Okay, now channel coding, where one bit is added to create a total sum of 0, it is called the even parity. Channel coding, when one bit is added to create total sum is 0, it is called the even parity. Other kind of parity is odd parity. What is odd parity? You can instead add one more bit, so that total, when adding all bits is 1, it is called the odd parity. So when the adding one bit and take a sum of all the bits, if it is coming as a 0, it is called the even parity, and when it is coming sum as a 1, it is called the odd parity. Okay, so these are the difference between the even and odd parity that you have to be take care of that. And what are the limitations of the single bit parity check? This is the example. If you have to be seen this particular example, you would be understood what is the limitations. There is a 3 diagrams are there, A, B, and C. A is the point where we have to be transmit the message, sent bits are there. This is the transmitter end, where we have sent the 4-bit message 1010, and the sum of this particular is 0. Okay, means there is no error at the transmission end. But when it would be passed through the channel and received by the receiver, there is a 1 bit would be changed. Okay, 1 bit would be changed, and when you would be take a summation of this, the total is coming as a 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1, it is coming as a 1. Means as per the rule of the single bit parity check, we have to become to know that there is a 1 bit error. On which bit, it is not known by the receiver, but for sake of simplicity, here we know that what are the transmitted bits. So we have to be easily identify that this particular bit position, there is a 1 bit error is there. Okay, now come to the third case, when you have to be see summation is 0. So as per the rule of the single bit parity check, If sum is 0, there is no error. Sum is 0, there is no error. But as we know the sequence of the transmitted bit, that is 1010 and the received is the 1111. So we know that there is a 2-bit error in the second and fourth position. Yes. As we know that what is the transmitted bit, that's why we are able to detect that there is a 2-bit error. But receiver does not know what actually has been sent from the transmitter end. So it would be not able to detect, and it would be considered that sum is 0, means there is no error. Okay. So this is the limitation of a single bit parity check. In fact, we know that there is a 2-bit error, but single bit parity check method would be not able to detect this error. That's why it is not suitable for detecting the 2-bit error. So single bit parity check is always able to detect only 1-bit error. Means it would be only detect the odd number of errors. It does not able to detect the even number of errors. This is the limitation of the single bit parity check. So how can which method we would be prefer? So to know the limitations of the single bit parity check, we have to be referred to the another kind of the check is there. Now we have to be see one of the another example. If you have to be see here, so there is another example for single bit parity check A, B, and C. A is the sent bit 1010, and from this diagram it is very much clear that in the figure B there is a 1 bit of error because it is different from the sent bit in one position, and sum of is 1, so obviously 1 bit error. But if you have to see the another third diagram, there is a difference in the 2 bits, 1, and there is a again the 1 bit difference is there, and summation is 1. So as per this, there is a we have to be say that there is a in both the cases sum is 1. So we have to be say that there is a 1 bit error. But if you have to be see that there is no errors in the knowing how the way to know this error. The receiver would be not know which position the bit is changed because he does not aware of this particular sent bit. This particular sent bit he is not aware. We are now seeing in this lecture, but actually the receiver does not know on which particular bit there is a error in this. So there is another limitation of the single bit parity check is that it is not able to find out the position of bit where the error occurs, and if it is not able to find out the position of bits where the error is occurs, so it is not able to correct the error, because if it is unaware of the position of error, so it would be not able to correct this. So error correction capability of single bit parity check is again limited. Okay, so this could be only used to detection of error but not for the correction of error. So what are the other methods we have to be see in the next lecture? Now the time is nearly 1.5 minutes. So we will be continue this lecture on the next tomorrow, and we have to be know what the other methods are used for detection and correction of errors, and we would be start the one of the coding that is linear block. Now I want to announce you. Thank you all of you for today.